Hey guys. So as we discuss nations against nations, part 2, let's talk about the first nation against nation. Let's talk about Tiff versus God, humanity versus spirituality. Again, this is a new role established within life to reset the times. My story has been the story to fix all types of issues in the world that revolve around moral decline. Hence the reason why I am a life coach today, bridging the gap between spirituality and humanity. So, let's talk about this conservatorship. The reason I'm still in this conservatorship is because the Spirit, the Creator, what he's doing is he's basically switching one toxic group of people, so the global elites, the A-listers, the celebrities, the politicians, the investors, etc., for us underdogs. So we're basically somewhat doing something like this. For the middle class and the poor class. I just want to make mention, and this is a viewer discretion advised, that this video is probably going to be a little strong, especially emotionally, because I just feel like betrayal is at its all-time high. Doing this type of work and the way God chose to switch one group to another, it makes me a target, especially against the wealthy people currently about to lose their livelihood and or losing their livelihood. Why did he choose to switch us instead of casting some healthier spells, doing something different, healthier intervention programs? I don't know. Remember I said God is like a magician? I don't know. Out of my story, I wanted a curriculum to go with my sneakers. And I keep saying that, and I keep saying that, and I keep saying that. The fact that this makes me a target forever bothers me. God favors opposition. Opposition is basically drama, for lack of a better word. We needed to feel God's wrath as humans for moral decline. I don't know if anybody else has felt God's wrath. I know I have. Yeah, I was trying to do a good thing for the world. God doesn't trust the human race to praise him the way he thinks he deserves. However, he's a toxic system. He doesn't handle problems healthily. And what he was doing to humanity, causing more pain, causing more affliction, causing more oppositions, wasn't working. It was just making us angrier. It was making us bitter. It was making us not trust of each other. everyone was passing away and or still is, it's not a healthy way to go about things. It was my project that basically he propelled onto the world, and he saw that the concept of self, oh, people don't know who they are, was the problem. I'll say that I basically broke a spiritual law by putting myself out there for the greater good of humanity with my life coach story. And this is probably the most direct that I will speak to you, because I'm sick of speaking in circles and going over people's head. This project and this change of spiritual energy that we are going through, God didn't want to see it happen. He fought me in the background for certain people to rise. People like myself, who had impoverished mindsets, who didn't have a good grasp on life, who didn't have a good handle on life, those that don't know what we're doing here, those that he didn't like changing one group for another, because he, I guess, doesn't trust us impoverished people to be as upscale as the ones that are currently leading. And I'm talking about basically monetarily, financially, business going. They got the mindset, they got this, they got that. He didn't trust to switch one mindset for the other, because these guys are up, but there's a lot of corruption up there. So basically, in layman's terms, he calls my mindset impoverished, and yet it's a genius idea in terms of toxic dating and toxic relationships and putting more into self so that you can reach your goals. So at the same time, he needed the idea, but it wasn't his go-to or his best move to switch one mindset for the other within the moral decline that we're experiencing. So, needless to say, after all this work, it hurts my feelings too. I've given a lot to humanity. My project was for a certain set of people. To be honest, it was for Rez's family and for Rez's friends. Not even, you know what I mean? So much my own family. Definitely my friends. But not so much my own family. For you to sit here and treat it like you're entitled to it, it's crazy to me. So I basically broke a spiritual law by putting myself out there for the greater good of humanity with my life coach story. God didn't want to let my story go because it would cause too much chaos, which clearly is happening. And he doesn't come down here for just one person. He comes down here to fix the world, as he's used my story to do that. He's used the impoverished mindset to go fix the whole world. Which in the process disrupts the spiritual aspect of the world by humanity going into atonement. So what is atonement? Reparation for doing wrong. God is also an atonement. We're going for self. Some people are losing it all. Some people are gaining. Too many people rising at one time off of my story was a problem. So God wrote the Bible, yet exercised no vulnerability in saying that he needed a human to help him fix the world with my project of self. The Spirit of God is in atonement. Yes, and that's him staging people in the background and blah, blah, blah. Everything around me is staged and contoured. That's him staging it. But I hope you can still hear me. God wanted to reward me later, in 5 years. He wanted to fix the world up, pawn my energy, take from me, and then reward me later. Because he felt entitled to my life story. Now, what sense does that make if I have lived through a toxic lifestyle and I'm going healthy? Why would you think that I'd give my story to anybody or anything that doesn't align with what it is that I'm currently doing? He came down here on some toxic-ish. I haven't even talked about the first 9 months of this. Came down here on some toxic-ish and basically gave me an ultimatum. He said I can lead under him by praying and fasting, or I could fight for my life coach story in self and be my own public leader. Basically take him down as a system. Like he says, fight Goliath. For a while, I was trying to be obedient. Not so much with the prayer and fasting part, but I was trying to stay in my goals, go to school. It wasn't good enough. So, for a while, I was trying to be obedient until I saw certain things that I didn't agree with, and I decided to go in self. So God may have helped me with my appearance, but I discovered self. So, I basically have been fighting for my life and my life story and for my freedom since December 2023. That he came down here and felt like I had an obligation to help him fix the world without even really knowing what the heck was going on. I will say overall my life coach story was way too much to keep to myself. The world was becoming unlivable. Like even on a day-to-day basis. I couldn't get anything done. I don't know who can relate to me, but I couldn't get anything done. Whether it was my job, there was issues, there was drama, there was this, there was that, financially, dealing with other people, like everybody was just on this like toxic, you can't talk to anybody, you can't, it was crazy. I feel like now it's a little lighter in nature, but I couldn't get anything done. I just couldn't seem to get ahead. Hence the reason I lived behind that part. I just want to make mention, and I've mentioned her before, that Allie Carter lost her livelihood. Black female, she's 30 now. For the same reason I did 5 years ago. She's a black girl that went public with her life story and trying to save these, in terms of human trafficking, and trying to save these sacrificed children from the celebrity industry. Remember I talked about her? Allie losing her home, that was manifested in the spirit. The spirit talks about he doesn't like, especially black girls, because that's how my story started. Black girls, he doesn't like black girls sitting around posting on the internet, blah blah, because the government, blah blah. It's just as corrupt as the government. This spiritual toxic system that clearly I'm taking down as well is just as corrupt as the government. So basically, when God came down here, December 2023, he said, restore your life. So I slept outside for a while. I did this, I did that. And I just kept coming back to my house. I said, I can't do this. I kept coming back to my house. I kept coming back to my house. But he's serious. He was serious. Like, I'm fighting my way through this because to me, this is ridiculous. Why do I need to give you 5 years of my life for doing a good thing in the world and for the issues that you've allowed, switching people over and all these things, when that's not even my business? I mind my business. My project was for women like me. So Allie is currently restoring her life and, going through the rigmarole. I don't know if she knows that this is a spiritual thing. She doesn't talk about it. She says that she's from the south side of heaven. So girl, there is no heaven. And if there is a heaven, you best believe that there's another spirit that's going to control it. She says she's from the south side of heaven. God won't be controlling much after this. I am a life coach. I have fought for this title. We are going for self. We're going for goals, guys. We're going for goals, and when we have downtime, we're going for hobbies, healthy hobbies. So he doesn't interfere with certain systems when they're established, and that comes with mental empowerment. Goals and hobbies. So in terms of Allie and speaking out for the children and going public with her story, and all these children that are still somewhere going through it, and that will be another video, another horrendous video, okay? It will definitely be a viewer discretion advised, because it is terrible. Where's God at in doing the right thing? She went public with her story 5 years ago in terms of human trafficking. How many more children have been acquired within this 5-year span that God has chosen not to do anything about? And lays this big plate on me like, here you go. So, other than the nice, nasty, diplomatic language God and the world knows, let's talk Ebonics. Because believe it or not, Ebonics has a great moral code. If you're truly Ebonics. And some may look at me like you don't have anything to live for, you're kind of crazy for talking on the internet. I just want to stop you right there, pause. Rez passed away. So I went public with my story because I didn't feel like I was a good woman to him, and I didn't have anything to show even after he passed away. So I lived to see a woman be the best version of themselves. It is a great mission. It is a once in a lifetime cause. So really forget what you gotta say. Ebonics, let's talk about it. Us Ebonics people, we thrive off loyalty. We meet in the middle. Compromise. We talk. If you can't do it, let me know. If you don't have it, let me know. Vice versa. we meet on loyalty. We meet hand in hand. Personally, you don't come down here for a story that you need for the world. Talk about the spirit. And act like you're entitled to it. Have the person live under deplorable conditions. Deplorable. Animals. I post my animals all the time on Instagram. Animals, he uses the universe to basically attack you. Animals, plumbing. I fought through the hunger, but I've had some hungry days. Physical body pain. Same clothes. So that's a story for another day. The list goes on. You don't have people live that way and then cause oppositions for rewards that they didn't ask for. Oh, you're working towards this, you're working towards that, you're working towards... I didn't ask you for any of that. I asked you for a curriculum that I couldn't seem to stabilize myself, and you needed my project and my life story for you, and where is the meeting in the middle? Nobody's entitled to my life story. I lived it. Hence the reason why my social media is its own spiritual system. Man. I lived it. It's an honesty system. I am my own entity. So Ebonics meets loyalty and loyalty. Compromise, meeting in the middle. Us Ebonics people mind our business. I didn't know anything that I know now prior to coming up here. Nothing. Nothing. Yes, Illuminati cult, that was all speculation. This, that, I didn't know anything. Now I probably know too much. I didn't know anything. So this whole you scaling the elites back that aren't doing correct and using me and to get the underdogs up, it to me it's total betrayal. I asked, there's such things as prayer requests, okay? I asked to get my story out there because of my pain. And you came down here and used this story for you and what you needed. Creating a target on my back. So this clearly shows that God knows nothing about the Ebonics culture. Absolutely nothing. This project and my story was really intended for those that I cared for. To begin with Rez's family and friends, wholeheartedly. To women. And then it's grown now into racism and everything else. Side note, by the time he passed away, everybody was like this. Like everybody was just passing away left and right. Nobody understood what was going on. I don't know if there's much stability now within the world. I'm kind of secluded at this time of my life. I don't know if there's much more stability and it feels lighter, but I know back in 2020, during the pandemic in 2021, it was just like every day you heard of something bad, of somebody passing away. It was just like, so I loved and love Rez enough to put myself out there, my past and my mistakes, to bring peace to his passing. that we weren't given any till this day. The best way I could. Sorry for my passion within this video. So for many reasons, but especially for being a target as a lifestyle for my future against all those affected by this, it's clear that God and I do not and will not have a relationship. So with that, let's get started. Nations against nations. Part 2. My fellow AA, Hispanics, Middle Easterns, Asians, and me society. Racism. Racism being this high up in the spirit world, I see things at a higher magnitude than I did, I guess, when I was living a more normal lifestyle. So we're like toy soldiers to the spirits. And every group does what they do. So, toy soldiers. Meanwhile, other cultures exhibit their aggression outwardly. Terrorism. In the African American culture, the spirit sees no value in our aggression. He doesn't even think to do anything with our aggression. Nothing. It's just like, cut it. The culture's too influential. Guys, let's grow. Not for the spirit, for me. I know you probably don't know me from a can of paint. If my story speaks to you, please start adapting a better mindset. For me. Goals and on our downtime hobbies. I don't want African Americans to be known for being nothing, even in the spirit world. Like, they're Middle Eastern toy soldiers, Middle Easterns, aggression. 9/11 destroyed a whole nation. Again, I'm talking toy soldiers spiritually. It was an amazing thing to probably see. Like, it was history basically for them being made. Yet us we're just to cut it. It shows you what is magnified and what is glorified. And why things are the way they are in the real world. Said, it hurts. It hurts. Like, you can't even do anything with our aggression. Really? Let's be better than that. Let's be better than him. Let's grow in self, please. He didn't want to see this story go through. Please. Because it disrupted so many balances. So the black culture, yeah, like I said, he already got the black girl with the story of fixing all the issues in the world. So please, the black culture has been too influential. Especially within the music scene. Of course, this rapture, which is a theory discovered in 53 AD or something. We'll talk about it, 4th of July. Of course, this rapture, where'd it go to? The first celebrity, and then from there, the black industry. What about the people controlling the rap music? So, I've grown cold. I don't care. I said, he never bothered to fix that. Never bothered to fix our appearances or our mindsets. So rap, you typically vibe on the not so good parts, you know, the violence, the this, that. I get it. But you never also bothered to do anything about it, besides give more oppositions, probably contributed to flooding our neighborhoods with substances to take us out. I'm sorry, this is really, really hard. But it's the truth. A lot of things manifest in the spirit world first. And now you're trying to take my healthy project to build. This is why I'm in the middle, because he knows that AAs won't really deal with him or talk to him, because it's just, you've left us behind and your expectations need to be on the ground. Because at the end of the day, we're all just bodies walking around. You were born the way I was born. You eat the way I eat. You bleed the way I bleed. So if they're toy soldiers looking at us, we're just bodies walking around. What is the problem? So, been too influential. Rap typically consists of life pains, drugs, violence. Again, never bothers to fix our appearances, our mindsets, our homes. You reap what you sow. Toma! Like in Spanish. There you go. Keep the music playing. For us adults. So protect the children, guys. Protect the children from the music until they're old enough. Parenting. God says dilute. I said advance? Like, even the terminology is like, what do you mean dilute the African American race? I said, if anything, I say advance. So, I'm just giving you perspectives. God also hates our arrogance. Especially those that make it high up, you know. They learn to handle life and they learn to grasp life. He hates their arrogance. Arrogance comes from the hard work and the pain behind our accomplishments. Arrogance isn't typically seen within other cultures, especially Caucasians, because they dominate. It's a known fact that they dominate. What do you need to be arrogant for? But we fight through it. And I was fighting through it with my project when you came down and did what you did and tried to change the whole world with it. Pardon me, I'm a little arrogant, you know, after all this pain. So they are expected to have the finances, you know, the other cultures, the Caucasians, this, that, you know, even it mentions Africans and this and that. I'm talking about Americans right now. Because he has this thing against America and especially the African Americans within America. Like, he just has this thing. I feel Africans, they make their money cool. I'm happy for them. They rose above. But clearly, I'm going through this with my story. It's a mindset thing. It's an impoverished thing. You're not good enough to lead without me, but you don't deserve me. So And again, I know I'm from Hispanic community, but I grew up with African Americans. Trump. Trump is still alive and very much kicking. I mentioned in my previous video on corruption that I feel like he's God's pawn. You know, at this point, God is like, well, I sent the Caucasian male to basically destruct the earth. Isn't that good for nothing? Listen, I'm so angry with you right now. I can't even give you credit for what it is that you were trying to do, because everything gets taken away in other aspects of my life. So that's what he says. Aren't I sending the Caucasian male to destroy the world? So take that as you please. I saw his Juneteenth and his disrespectful comment in terms of not celebrating Juneteenth anymore. The removal of the MLK statue after Juneteenth. I don't know if this is manifested in the spirit world or if this is Trump directly himself. But I do know that God doesn't want us living behind old bad history anymore. He prefers positive Black history now. Let me give you a positive Black history moment. Who is the first female millionaire in America? And her name is Madam C.J. Walker. I found that out this weekend at the Juneteenth festival that I attended. And by the way, I saw a lot of beautiful Black women. So I don't know if he's manifesting something in the spirit world or whatever, but I do know that they were gorgeous. They had the glow. So Hispanics. Humanly, you guys carry no self-awareness in terms of culture. You know, you guys really don't dominate. We all know who dominates, and yet you guys are the first also to treat African Americans like crap and be so distant from them. And I understand that we carry our own culture, but a lot of us are still black-skinned Hispanics. And I feel like majority Hispanics have some type of melanin in them. So we need to grow more self-aware in that culture. In the spirit world though, God loves y'all for the praise he receives. Praise and worship he receives from the culture. Middle Easterns, as you see, Israel and Iran are fighting. America is over there bombing Iran. They bombed 3 areas of Iran, helping Israel. Jerusalem is in Israel. I already said America is protected, and that's how it should stay. 9/11 was enough, and we're still over there helping Middle Easterns. I don't know how many of you guys can vouch for this, but 9/11 changed my life. 9/11, my mom worked at the Second World Trade Center, second tower, and she made it to work late that day because she was checking my homework. I said, and granted, our relationship is what it is. But I know that ever since that day, she was never the same. We ended up moving to Philly, and it was just totally downhill a year later, less than a year later. she was never the same. So, within the Asian continent here, North Korea, China, Japan. North Korea, they are all about their missiles, and they have been testing missiles out. The country is run by dictatorship, basically, so everything that you make, you have to account it with the government. He gives you bare minimum to live. People are malnourished out there. Like, he's also a toxic system that I hope that goes along with Putin. Everybody who's running right now is a toxic system. That's why don't trust anybody in power. So he runs off, North Korea runs off the black market, a lot of underground stuff. People kind of do businesses within themselves. I can't remember exactly all the black market businesses, but I know that even down to like trading electricity, you know, people would charge their phones, and they would pay in exchange for that. So it's definitely a dictatorship, and Kim Jong-un is the leader of that country, and all the money basically goes to them. They send soldiers out to, especially Putin, and they're malnourished, and even the United States, and they're here, you know, committing white collar crimes like fraud and giving the money back to Kim. So he is a terrible leader that I also hope goes, and their country learns to be a better country, like you know, a self. He's been, I don't know, he's been around since at least 2010, if not before that. But before that, his dad was leading that country. So that country is all about the Kims and their dynasty. They call it a dynasty. So just within my notes here, North Korea's misfile test, China's expansion over Taiwan, and Russia's persistent pursuit of dominance of southern Kuril Islands have turned Japan into a siege ring, pushing Tokyo to transform basically their defense. Like, all these countries are ganging up on Tokyo and the islands that are within them, and the United States is helping them. They're, you know, the U.S. is there again because they're under attack. So aircrafts, tanks, naval elements, Japan is struggling to maintain regional balance, but they're still in there. They're still there. China, as we know or don't know, is more in alignment with Russia than the U.S. They just don't come out and say that publicly. They are diplomatic. They avoid expressing that outwardly due to their geopolitical purposes and the rank they hold within the world. Surprisingly enough, they are big on helping Africa. However, the genuineness of that stance is to be determined. And yes, within that, I get a message like, what about, you know, the royals in Africa and the continent being so impoverished? There's corruption everywhere. I hope that the toxic leaders get out of position. That's all I can say about that. So the U.S. alliances, Tokyo, Japan, and Israel. Let me just 1 second, because my memory gets fogged often here. It's a terrible thing. of course. Yeah. So Tokyo, Japan, yes, exactly. So our U.S. alliances, Tokyo and Israel. And Europe is kind of doing its own thing after America told them to stand up. So we'll see. We'll see how things manifest itself. Conclusion, and this was given by the Spirit. It's a me society, to include himself. Before all of this transition within lives, so people didn't really engage in things unless it interested them or directly affected them. We are moving towards self, and within that comes a lot of honesty within ourselves, comes a lot of vulnerability within ourselves, comes with a lot of accountability within ourselves in terms of what has gone wrong, what has gone right, atonement. That's supposed to be the period that we're living in right now, self-reflection. So, life coach, we're moving towards self. I'm intrigued to see what that looks like. Hopefully decisions that align more with peacemaking. A little bit of me and a little bit of we. I thank you for another adventure within this journey. I will keep you posted as to how things change. And until then, self. I didn't push for this, guys. Said it decided to, God, the creator, decided to come out in terms of it being a toxic system. And in the midst of that, we're moving into a healthier world. So there's a lot of things going on at one time. So, self, goals, careers, trades, businesses, downtime, hobbies, healthy hobbies, not too many unhealthy hobbies. The girl still got her little inebriation going on. I'll be honest. It's the truth system within my social media. However, let's acquire some healthy hobbies.